It doesn't come as a surprise to most people that I am a huge fan of older video games. Just to name a few, Sonic the Hedgehog series, the Super Mario series, and even less talked about one's Crash Bandicoot. Now there's one series I've been wanting to talk about, and that's Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie was my first ever 3D game I ever played in my life, and it's something I wasn't able to talk about because it doesn't have very much merchandise. And as most of you know, I'm primarily a toy review channel. Even the same goes for my Instagram. And now that he's been added to Smash, it's made me even more happy than ever because this guy hasn't gotten much representation in a while. So why not kick that off with a new review? Hi there guys, I'm Troublesome Junction, and I'm bringing you the reviews of the Stubbins Banjo-Kazooie plush. And here he is, our star attractions, Banjo and Kazooie. This is honestly, despite its weird design, because of the Stubbins look, it is a really inoffensive plush. But before we go into the details, let's talk about the tag. So I did pay $15 for this plush, and overall, it's a pretty nice looking tag. If you want to have a read right here, you can pause the video if you want. But otherwise, it's really just nothing more than just a simple tag. But one thing I can really say that I like about it is if you peel away this GameStop sticker here, you get a really cute looking picture of Banjo and Kazooie here. I honestly love it, it's pretty good. But I have a little story behind this. So when I was looking on the GameStop website to see if they had any merchandise in stock, they did have this plush. So I went over to my local GameStop to see where it was, and I was greeted to them of how they grab the plushies and throw them into the bins very haphazardly. So yeah, it was kind of hard for me to find them at first, and it did get kind of creased in there, but for it to still be in GameStop for that amount of time, yeah, that's really quite impressive, I mean. Because these things are selling for like hotcakes on eBay, so for me to just sort of find it, sort of just buried in the very back of a plush bin in GameStop, that's really cool to me. Moving on to the face is actually pretty good. The embroidery on it is not bad either for what I paid for it. The embroidery, there's some darkers in the upper spot for the eyebrow ridge, and it looks really clean for what it transitions. There's a little tuft of fur here, more than likely just to simulate his actual tuft in-game. In the back of the head, there's nothing really much. And then on his ears, I don't like that you can see the seam stitching right there, but oh well, I suppose. It's like that on both of the ears. You can still see where it goes in and out for the stitching, but okay, I guess. It's not a really bad head either for the design of the Stubbins plushes. I think it's actually really quite nice. Moving on to the detail of the body, I think it's actually really quite nice, but it's made of this really weird overlay material, to where if you move the fur around, you can see the under part of it where it's not been painted at. I really don't like that a lot of new plushes are using this because it just feels cheap. They should have just stuck to using different patterns for the pants and etc, rather than doing this, for what I paid for it. But overall, the proportions on it and detail is really quite nice. Now the detail on the backpack is actually really quite nice once you get down to it, but it's missing the Rare logo that's right there. I don't know why they didn't add it onto there, but okay. It also has this little flap in the back just to simulate it opening. It's a bit weird, but okay. And then the strap on it is also quite nice. Mine didn't have the strap over the arms when I first got it, so yeah, just really no big deal to just stick the arms through it. And yes, it really does make a difference because it hides more of that stupid overlay material. Really nice looking backpack though. Now moving on to part of the plush that I feel is really well done is Kazooie. Kazooie actually looks really good for the price point and for the size. Now granted, the wings do have this iron-on material that is really well known to crack over time, so you might want to be careful with that. And the wings are kind of like just on a singular piece of felt, so yeah, they do like move around and flap a lot. But I mean, I guess that could be a good thing if you want to simulate her flying on his back, so I suppose that works out. The wings do feel pretty weird though because of the iron-on material, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. The face, though, looks really nice, actually, and I'm surprised they made her mouth open. And her hair is even there, too. It's just a singular piece of felt, though, but it is pretty thick, so I wouldn't really worry about it moving around that much. Overall, though, Kazooie's great. Now moving on to the general comparison. So for the physical comparison, I'll be comparing him to Mr. Hippo and Orville Elephant. Now, they're roughly the same size and around the same price point. But as you can see, Banjo has a much more complicated design than Mr. Hippo, but at the same time, Mr. Hippo doesn't use as much overlay material. So I guess you could say that. Yet again, Mr. Hippo is $5 cheaper. So I do honestly think that this is a good plush, but for what it is, it's too expensive. I feel like $10 to $12 would have been a reasonable price for him. And if you're honestly out there looking for a highly detailed plush of him, look towards the BD&A plush or even the UFO catcher plush. Now, those things go for a lot of money that I don't have, but still, they're really nice plushes nonetheless. So if you're looking for one that's game accurate and you want to spend a lot of money on a plush, then get it. But on this guy, if you see it in store, I'd pick him up because Banjo needs as much help as he can get. This little guy is coming to Smash too, so his demand is going up too. Not to mention, if he does get an amiibo, I'll be sure to buy it day one. So that's all I gotta say for this video, so I'll see you all on the flip side.